Hello and welcome to this second part of the video on natural language processing, and we are using sentiment analysis. So if you remember, in the last one we used this library for doing the sentiment analysis. I'm going to use the GT library to display the data on the screen. So we had some sentences which resemble some feedback from a website or some comments. So using this, we use this library or package to get the sentiment for these sentences. And if I do that, combine it, this is what we get. So you can see that sentiment scores have been given. In some cases, they look okay, but in some cases they're not that accurate. For example, was this not the best? So I'm trying to give a negative feedback, so this is not the best, but it's saying it's 0.5 positive. That means it thinks this is a positive comment. And similarly, there could be more also. So let's try to use some other package and other library and see what happens after that. So let's take it a bit further. I'm going to use this time I'm going to use sentimental library, and I'm also going to use the deployer for handling the data. So what I'm going to do is, remember I created this little vector of sentences. I'm going to convert this into a data frame. Then I'm also going to create another ID field using the row number. So if I do that, and if I display it on the screen, you would see that we have all those sentences there and then the ID. So you can see the structure of the data frame. So we have two columns, sentences and ID, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's fine. And then let's now create some sentiment scores. And how do we do that? Instead of using the previous library which we used here, I'm going to use this library now. So let me, just for the sake of clarity, I'm going to put this up there, and I'm using the data frame sentences, and I'm going to create the sentiment on the sentences column. So if I run it, and if it all works, then I have another data frame. Let me display this also on the screen. So you can see it has the element ID, which is basically the row ID, and then it has given the sentiment. So the idea is now to combine it together. So how do we combine it together? I'm using dplyr, and I'm saying I want to create another data frame called final. I'm using the sentences data frame. Then I'm going to do a left join. We have a detailed video on dplyr which talks about left joins, right joins, etc. But let me use the left join here. And what's the second data frame which I want to use? I want to use the sentiment score. So we have sentences, this data frame, and then we have the score, which is a separate data frame, and all I need to do is combine it. And so what are the keys which we can use? So in the first column, so for the first data frame, sentences, I'm going to use ID as the key because this is the row number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is this. And in the second data set, which is sentiment scores, this is the element ID. So I'm saying equals element ID. So if I run it, hopefully we have some data frame called final, and let's try that. Let's try to print it on the screen. Oh no, so I'm going to run it now. So we have final. Let's print it. Okay, so we have a combined data frame you can see that it has given the sentiment. It's much detailed numbers. So instead of, so in the previous ones we just had it ranged between -1 and 1, but in this case, the new one, that happens to be much more detailed with more numeric values, etc. And you can see not the best has been taken as a negative sentiment now, which makes sense. Remember in the previous one, it said this was a positive statement, or it was displaying a positive sentiment, which is not the case. So this happens to be much better, and it has acted on the sentences in a more meaningful way. Similarly, you can actually see the word count, etc. in there, so it has acted on that and given us a sentiment. So I hope you found this information useful and practical. Let's create another video in which we talk about more detailed sentiment analysis. Thank you very much for watching it, and I hope you subscribe to our channel and like our channel as well. Thank you.